Before I start, just so you know, it's going to be still ugly. But I have a feeling that you appreciate rawness. UI is still cooking. We had conceptual discussions so far, which are advancing good. So you're gonna see some super nice UI improvements quite soon. In the meantime, we try to focus on actually advancing with the features, especially since we know that VarMeta was also looking for some functionalities. And today we're going to show you the functionality of creating a key and registering it on various chains or networks. So I'm going to switch terminology, chain network all the time. We're still deciding. So it's very, very intermediary, let's say, but here it goes. So this is a video share. I'm going to narrate over it, and I'm going to pause it to explain. So we have a phone. I'm going to connect to Gnokey Mobile. We are going to enter master password. Okay. So no biggie here. Now we are going to create a new key. These are the existing keys. So we're going to create a new key. Click on plus. Now we're creating a new key. And you will see here this button, register username on chain. We can actually, when we create a new key, we can register it on a chain or not. So we leave this option for the user. So in our example, we're going to tick the box, and the default chain, just putting back a few seconds, and the default chain you'll see is the Berty chain, right? So Berty chain, right? So now we're going to switch the chain. I'm going to click on the Berty chain. We're going to arrive here. So here we have a list of the existing chains, and we're going to switch to the chain or network of our friends from Teritori. Well, click in a moment. Click on Teritori. So now you see we are going to create the key is going to register on. So wait, sorry for that. So we're going to click on Teritori. We're going to register now the new key on the Teritori chain, like you see here. So now we go back here, and we want to change the chain again, and we click add a custom chain, where we enter the new chain, the new network's details, like URL, ID, and chain name, right? We're making up something here, my custom URL. We're going to save this chain, and you're going to see that this chain is going to appear in the list of chains here, see? So now we are creating this new key and registering it on a custom chain. And that's it. And you're going to see, so yep, it's here. So this is the main thing that we've been building and debating, and we're curious to find out what you think about it, and especially if you don't agree with it, or if you have issues with the concept around it, like creating a new key, registering it on different chains, custom chains. What do you feel about it? Are we on the right direction? Is there any controversy around this one? Silence is approval, you know.
Is are the keys cross-chain, or are they intended to be for a specific chain?
Should I jump in?
Jump, Jeff, yes, because I'm afraid I'm going to say something that is not true.
They're all for GNO chains, right? We're not trying to do Ethereum or anything else. And as you know, if you generate a key, you could get coins on different chains. That all depends on using the faucet for that chain or getting someone to send you money. And so this is one of the things it makes sense to us since we're neck deep in this, but for new users, they might not understand that usually they think that I have a key and it has some coins, but it actually, you have a key and it has some coins on one chain and could have a different amount of coins on the other chain. So that's why we're having them a selected chain. We do plan to add another screen, which we call onboarding, which is maybe they already have a key and they find out about a new chain. And so they could go to the onboarding thing and a very similar screen, then they select that chain. And, then when they view their account balance and all that stuff, it will show the account on that chain. This is actually similar to how Adena is working, I think. The twist is that we're trying to do two things. One is manage the coins that they have on the chain, and the other one is registering them with our demo users optionally. And so we're just gonna have to work with Alexi and the other user workflow experts to see if there's a way to do this which doesn't scare people. Yeah, Manfred.
Let me remove my Wi-Fi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, for a moment.
I love the idea of making it easy from Gnokey Mobile to register a username, and soon we'll have a way to register usernames for free. So definitely it makes sense. The thing is, it's completely independent to register something from creating a key, because actually you won't always create a key. Sometimes you will import an existing key. Sometimes you will create an account session for an existing key that you created on your computer.
Yeah.
So what it means that sometimes just after creating something, the username is probably already registered. So definitely there is something about it makes sense for this feature, but we need to make sure that basically it's dynamic both in terms of for each key and for each network. The thing I was considering when we were discussing with you about registering users from the wallet directly to make this network a network where username makes sense, was to have kind of an indicator. So basically your account exists, does not exist, or partially exists. We can say that the account is unknown. It's a red light.
Mm-hmm.
The account is known but does not have a username. It's orange. And the account is known and have a username, it becomes green. So it could be a way to support this. But yeah, at the end, just consider that at some point, Gnokey Mobile won't be an app that you configure. If you remember, for instance, Facebook and other social networks, for most people, they started on computers, and at some point, years later, they released the mobile app.
Yeah.
So basically, the configuration was already done on computer. And your goal was just to have a mobile thing with maybe notifications in your pocket.
Yeah.
So just consider that your mobile app should definitely allow creating things, be the first way to discover GNO. But I really expect it to actually be more frequently the companion for an existing life you already have on GNO, especially when we have the account session.
Yeah.
So consider this. Also need to be considered. We'll have an official username system. In practice, it's always kind of risky to hardcode that this specific realm is official. So even if you implement this method, just keep in mind that at some point we'll need to be able to, I don't know, look at a parameter on chain to know what is the current username realm address. Maybe it's v1, then v2, then v3. And maybe at some point, depending on this parameter, you could potentially at some point disable the feature completely. If for any reason we consider there is not a single, because maybe there are several username systems that all make sense. I don't think it will happen, but let's imagine this case. These features should also be completely disabled. Something you can disable not by compiling a new app, but by looking at some parameters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just makes sense to right now because we expect the username system to be something that will make this ecosystem something more usable, more trustable than ecosystem where you discuss with cryptographic hash. We prefer speaking with usernames as on Discord, etc.
Yep. And the idea is it can get complicated, and so the idea is to put a lot of thought into this app to make it as clear as possible. One thing is maybe you have you're registered on one chain as Bob, but on the other chain you want to be Bobby.
Yeah. I have a last thing to say before letting the on to Crystal regarding registration. Once again, the other thing to keep in mind is most of the time you will just want to add a key, which can be a volatile one, an account session, creating a new key from scratch.
Yeah.
But consider registering maybe later, or just consider not caring at all For instance, if your goal is just, once again, you already have your life existing on GNO, and your goal is just to have a way to send something from your pocket, you would want a quick setup.
Yeah.
And when I say quick setup, it means that registration makes sense when you have the list of networks. I think that if you use like something like a GNO Social, so another mobile app that will use a inter-app mechanism to request signatures from Gnokey Mobile, if you use this system, you don't need to never be aware of what is the network.
Mhm.
So I just don't want to spend time trying to configure, oh, super, I am on 5 different testnets and I have a username on each of them. No, I just don't care. I want the wallet to sign things because other apps will request that I sign a few things. So in that specific case where you had your life on computer, or maybe you start with GNO Social mobile app. You start the app. At some point, you want to make an action, and the app say, "Please switch to Gnokey Mobile." Oh, you don't have Gnokey Mobile. Please download Gnokey Mobile. You download it. You create your account. The goal is to be able to just start interacting with the previous app, not to add networks manually. If the network is specified by the other app, really I don't care about fine-tuning the networks myself. Maybe it makes sense for advanced usages, but I think it's an advanced usage to change the network list.
Manfred, so maybe if GNO Social will tell us, hey, this is the network. When you open Gnokey Mobile the first time, you create a key. It will remember the network that was told by GNO Social. We can say default registering is on the network that has just been communicated by the other app when we create a key, something like that. Can I create it default, like so user has to do fewer clicks?
In the case I open GNO Social, the GNO Social opens Gnokey Mobile. I just don't want to change the network. I just don't want to register. I want to verify the requested signatures. If it makes sense, I want to see the network.
Yeah, it will say you are
I want an option
registered.
to change it.
Yeah,
the only screen I should be able to see is this is the transaction request from another application. Do you want to sign in? By the way, you are currently using this key.
This
you can change it. You are currently using this network. You can change it. Actually, I don't think you should change it from this screen because probably the transaction only makes sense on the network that was specified by the other application. So yeah, once again, I think you have a good workflow for something that starts from Gnokey Mobile. And when you want to configure your GNO Life, just don't forget the other, I think, very common alternative, which is starting from a computer. At some point, you download an application. And the only question is, do I want to create a new session, a new key, or to reuse my existing key, or maybe my ledger? But my goal is just to interact with GNO Social, not to make several steps before.
Yeah, not to spend your life in Gnokey Mobile.
It should be an advanced usage, especially for signatures. If you have a bank account, if you have a bank mobile application, technically you have two usages. One of them is to just approve an online payment, and the other one is to open it in full screen and to look at your accounts and maybe look at the history. And we will have the two cases. But in the case you just want to approve something quickly, please don't ask me to configure networks or whatever. I just want to see what is the request, have some information so I can basically verify that it's a safe request, and that's all.
Yeah. No, got it.
Yeah, we already have in the basic transaction signing protocol, the app like dsocial will tell Gnokey Mobile which network it expects.
Yeah.
And and you're right. So we can.
The network list makes sense in my opinion only when you are in full screen, not when you want to send something and where you want to see two things. One is I want to see what I did. So if I have a username and my history, and I want to see my balances. That's the case where having multiple networks makes sense in my opinion, while when you just use it as a signature application, basically it's either you approve, either you fine-tune the transaction, or you discard the transaction request and you come back to your life.
Okay. Christophe?
I wanted to raise a couple like security topics on this, just to touch on them briefly. So once we gain some more mass adoption and have users that are less devy and more maybe a bit more security naive, a couple vectors arise of concern, and I wondered if your team had already thought about how to kind of guide the user through this. One would be when you have the ability to import keys. A common crypto scam is, someone will say, "Hey, I'm gonna sell you some crypto," right? And then they have you import a key. The funds appear in your wallet, but at the too late, they're able to withdraw the funds. So like warning users around the importation of keys that don't necessarily belong to them. And then the second one is the use of malicious chains. Again, either for the obvious misdirection of like, hey, I sent you some funds, but it's actually on some chain that doesn't matter that I've provided to you. Or maybe even it might be possible to like lie about the balances, because I'm sure this is not a validating client. So, I assume that if you enter in a malicious chain URL, it can kind of tell you about whatever it wants to about the state of the chain, the GNO world, without you being able to confirm that. Have you thought about those kind of topics?
Well, we've been aware of these issues. Costin can correct me, but our plan was to push forward with a UI, just something, because we need to get this in front of the security experts in a separate meeting, right? Possibly a different project. And we originally thought that we'd get someone to give us the security design, but it's hard to do that in the abstract. So this is why Costin's keeps saying, maybe a little ugly, but we wanted to have something for the security experts to play with, and then we have that meeting.
And elicit ideas. Yeah. We wanted to bring you the functionality so you can actually see it, even if it's ugly, or it's going to get more beautiful and more beautiful as we work with Alexi. But yeah, for sure, Christoph. Yeah, we want to ask you and whoever it makes sense to help us solidify, I don't know how to say it, like secure this app and make it trustworthy. So super appreciate the feedback. We're gonna actually come to you to ask for feedback very, very punctually. Now we would just want to add the main use cases and have the main flows in the app, so you can see them. We can see them working. It's not just a slide on a Miro board or something. We want to see, we want an app. We want an app that we will secure gradually. At this point, we are not worried about security. At this point, we are not considering it. Like if it's
Makes
not
sense.
obvious, we don't consider it. But of course, we are ready. We know it's there, and we're gonna do it. So
Great.
Totally.
Great, thank you.
All right, in the interest of time, let's move us on the next demo. This one's particularly interesting because it's from our very own Nathan, and it's his actual private realm.
I hope we haven't oversold how interesting this is, but I think it's interesting. I hope that you guys like it as well. Let me share.
Sharing.
Cool. I just shared my screen. Is it okay? And if this is what's in the right-hand side of the screen is not as important. So if it's too small, don't worry about it. It's mostly just so I can keep track of what's going on. The left side, I wanted to kind of show you really quickly. I don't know. I think it was Leon who posted in one of the Discord channels about this Hall of Fame, and I was like, I'll do a little side quest and play around with getting a home realm up and kind of kick the tires on this. I was actually looking at some of the other ones, like Manfred and Morgan have their home realms in place, and they had some kind of cool ideas that were in there, and Leon as well. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was feeling a little indecisive, and I was like, well, what if I just want to replace everything? What if I want like a completely unopinionated thing that just renders whatever markdown I want? And that way I can decide what my markdown looks like later. And that's what kind of took me down this rabbit hole. So I built this home realm. It has a preview feature. it uses this little tool called chunk, which allows me to add things to like a little linked list string buffer. And then I also have some like authentication using a config pattern. So I just wanted to kind of show very quickly like how this works and why this is, I think this is kind of fun and why I think it could be kind of cool and composable with other stuff. So this is my home realm. This is just really basic, like a little quick paragraph and has a couple of links. Let's say I wanted to add like another link. I'm going to go ahead and I've made some like little helper things. I'm going to add a chunk and let's see, it's under test data, under source. And I'm going to go ahead and add chunk. Let me, of course, there's always, sorry, not add chunk, it's add chunk. You add chunks to a chunk. That's the unit of measurement. So yeah, so we just did this, and as you can see, if I reload this page, nothing changes, and that's by design. I actually have a URL that if you do :preview, oh no, what is happening? Unable to query. Oh, that's interesting. I think I found something. I found some sort of interesting bug. Okay, I think there might be something going on with my home realm. This is sad. Let me see. Are there other? I don't want to reload this page. Is this okay? I'm getting 403s. Luckily,
oh no, it's probably just the portal loop refreshing.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it is.
Luckily, just like any good cooking show, I already have some prepared things, you know, in other tabs. So one of the ways that I'm able to write to this is that I actually use this config dashboard. Config is like me taking the idea further along than some really basic and pragmatic approaches. I actually made a new little project called mgroup, which is a managed group. It has this idea of an owner. I stole a lot of ideas from Authorizable, but I wanted to be able to list out the members of the group. So I wanted a pattern where I could have backup owners, like an arbitrary number of backup owners, which is I could claim ownership if you're in the backup owner group. And then I also had the idea of admin members. Admin members are people who have delegated control of using config claims. So let's say if you ask to this realm, are you a member of the admin group? It will reply with a Boolean. And that's the way that you can actually like send updates to, okay, cool, things are loading. So if I go to my home realm, if I actually go to preview, you'll notice that in my preview site, I actually have this little personal website piece. And then if I actually want to run something called promote, I think it's just promote. Yeah. So if I promote it, that actually does this. It allows me to do stages here. Okay, that's kind of interesting. It lets the code be kind of like clean and simple. Like this is what my source code for the home realm looks like. It's like very structured. There's not a lot of stuff going on in here. I have a chunk for active, which is what renders on the homepage, and I have a chunk for preview. That's literally all that's happening. And when you go to render, it literally has a read-only scanner and appends a bunch of the text from the scanner into the result. That's all it's doing. You can kind of think of this as like a static site generator renderer. You could imagine having some form of like Hugo or something that actually would like generate markdown, and then you just send it to the chunker and do stuff. There's actually some kind of cool things that you can do that are like more interesting than just a single upload. Like for instance, I could do multi-parts. And so I could do crazy things that you probably shouldn't do on the blockchain, but we're going to do it because we're doing a demo. We're going to upload from the project Gutenberg. We're going to go ahead and upload a copy of what did I do? Argument list is too long. Maybe, oh yeah. Frankenstein. We'll do Frankenstein. Something else is going on. Okay, we have more package realm stuff happening. I don't know. But basically, I can upload multiple parts. The way that the pattern works is that I can add chunks when you add chunks, you keep adding them until you either promote or flush the strings. And so you can actually do multi-transaction uploads. If I had like larger payloads or larger, more complex pieces that would not fit in a single transaction. Yeah, live demos. This is, you know what I didn't do is I didn't make a sacrifice to the demo gods before we started this, which is a rookie mistake. And so, yeah, let me see if I have anything else pre-rendered. Oh, this is chunk. This is the this again gave me an excuse to play with like packages.
The portal loop is back up if you need it.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Awesome. So let's see. Did the preview? Yeah. So let's go ahead and go back to Frankenstein and let's try to upload this again. I'm adding a chunk. It's Frankenstein. It's like, I think it's like 200 KB or something. It's ridiculous. Don't do this, but I did it. So here's here's Frankenstein. And let's say I'm like love Frankenstein and I wanted to have it on there twice. I'm absolutely abusing the renderer right now. And yeah, so we now have 2 copies of Frankenstein in my preview. Yeah, but we can also do, we're like a meme driven company. So let's actually not do Frankenstein. I'm going to flush this, which again, we're in the preview. My main page is not affected. We're flushed. And let's say that I want to add a chunk for, what is it called? Preview. We'll do this. If you had checked out my page initially when I first uploaded it, when I linked to the preview page, you actually got rickrolled. The way that this works is this is not linking to an external thing. And again, do not do this in real life. But I learned that you can embed the base64 encoding of images in your stuff. So I actually encoded the base64 of this rickroll right here. And but let's say we need we like this so much that we actually want more ricks on the page. But thing is that rick is like several hundred KB. So we need to do this in chunks. So we're gonna add we'll add a couple more. And I will make a not rick realm. That's great. Okay, so because of the chunker, I actually had, this is in, high rick with the first rick is chunk 1, 2, and 3. And then, yeah, if I wanted to promote this, I could, but it's much more fun to just have it this way. Oh, did I? I guess this promoted, and that's interesting. Well, I can go back and fix this real quick. So let's say I wanted to realize there's a typo. I'm going to go ahead and finish it up, and then we'll round up the demo. So if I do source, actually, let me go to flush because I want to flush the preview. Okay, and then I'm going to add chunk for source. And then I will promote. And these were my down and dirty pieces. And then boom, we're back in business. Okay, so that's it. It was really just an experiment for me to like play with both, how realms and packages worked, but also, feed my indecision by building config and this managed group piece and then a home realm that I can change and stuff. So anyway, that was a fun little side quest.
All right, we have 26 minutes and a lot of ground to cover. So let's switch over to Onbloc. And by the way, thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, that was fun.
Go on, Manfred.
Sorry, it was a mistake.
All right, over to Gino and Onbloc.
All right, I'm gonna make it short. So Gino made a PR in the JX indexer, adding 2 guest-related endpoints. So the first one is get gas price. You can add a range of blocks that you want to get gas price with, and you get the average of transactions in a block, and you average that again to get the average gas price. And if the parameters are empty, the default is the latest 1,000 blocks. And the second method is subscribe. And if you subscribe this, you get the latest gas price from the latest one block. And Ginny is gonna show you a demo about how it's working.
If the demo gods allow it. Not Democrats, demo gods.
Hi, this is Postman, then call the RPC method, get gas price. This is ranging. Then we get the result. Then low, average, high value. This is we set a gas fee 10. Use that high and average changes that.
Yeah, as you can see, after the execution of a transaction with 10,000 gas fee, the low, average, high gas price has been changed.
Yeah, then with some subscription. This is method, and when we transactions get a transaction block, this is then we get the that new block gas prices getting that.
Yep. Yeah, that was the demo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dongwon. Switching over to VarMeta and the login with the Gnokey.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I will share my screen. Do you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, we are building a game with based on let's say have some feature related to zero chain. So
I only see
you
your
need to let
desktop. I don't see any app.
yeah, I'm saying. And in the demo, because I don't have a setup here, so I will show you the video demo. It has a game here, and we log in by the app right now. We sign in with zero key, and in this step we will ask the Gnokey Mobile to generate the information enough for login into the game. And I want to show you this demo to show that we can make the application and make the let's say make game that working with Gnokey Mobile and the underground we want to do is every time you want to log into the game, the backend server will generate a challenge. This challenge is unique for each user and with the time. And with this one-time challenge, the Gnokey Mobile will sign on it, and the application will broadcast the slider message into the backend server, and the backend server will verify the message with public key, and then if it correct to the user on the Gnokey Mobile, it will give the user the authentication and authorization, and that is our idea for now to log in with Gnokey Mobile. We can help user on the Gno can play a game or using an application. Yeah, that is for me, and thank you.
Thank you so much for the demo. We have one more demo before we move to discussions, and that's Teritori.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sharing my screen. So here I just wanted to show you on what I was working. The thing is, usually on Go, the time structure have two things that I think is not useful in our case. Is a monotonic clock that is used for measuring time intervals between two events. It's mainly like the seconds since the process start, and a location attached to each time. So here I try to make the time zone chain parameter. So I come to get the chain time zone from I inject from Gno, and so now if I start Gno dev with chain time zone Seoul, for example, okay, just let's let time to start. And now we can see the time zone of the chain is Seoul, and all the function within will work with Seoul, and the users cannot change the time zone. It's linked to the chain. But if I just start without without saying a specific time zone, we can see it will be based in UTC by default. Take time. And now we can see the time is UTC default. So now we will be able to change the time zone by the gov.dao, because the chain params can be like I used what Manfred did to manage the chain params. So yeah, that's it, what I did. If you have some feedbacks or discussion about it, I would be happy to discuss.
Go on, Manfred.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we should not make it a parameter. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. I have a feeling that we should not make it a chain parameter, and that it could be dangerous to change it, maybe, but it could make sense to consider that during the genesis, we maybe can set a global variable, like the default time zone or basically to hardcode in the time std package that the time zone for this chain is that value. I'm not sure what would be the impact of changing the time zone over time. So yeah, making it dynamic makes sense, but maybe just once at the genesis. So basically just setting a global variable.
Yeah, I think could be a good idea because changing the time zone could have like a lot of consequences. I agree with that.
And something similar, just so everyone is aware, we have something similar with the random package. There is a question regarding: do we want at some point to have per realm, per transaction, or per chain default seed or whatever? And the thing is the same concept. The goal is for the std round package to eventually set up a global variable at the beginning. So it's a new pattern for us. We don't have this notion of setting a global variable, not for a realm, but for std pure package. But maybe this is something we should do more frequently to configure a chain. So there is a double challenge: one, to start doing it, and two, to decide how to manage the initialization of the chain. Should it be in the genesis, in a new structure? So I don't have the answer right now. Just this feeling of consider that std pure package could have an initialization where we set a global variable that will be shared for the whole chain, and making the pure package consistent while having something different from a chain to another. Feel free to continue working on your branch and ping me. Definitely, I don't have all the answers, but it looks like something like this.
Okay, thank you. I will look at this and try to do it.
All right, with that, we're switching to the discussion section. Just give me a sec to share my screen. So the first question is from Berty. Jeff, do you want to take this?
Yeah. Wait till the screen pops up so people can read it. So this is a question partly focused on Ilker, who's working on the new boards V2. And it relates to the restrictions on mainnet for sending coins. And the reason I ask is, for example, I noticed in the boards V2 code that there's an option that you can send a post anonymously if you're not in our demo users, but if you include a send amount in the transaction. This is used in other places, like when you actually register to our demo users, you have to add a send amount. I wonder whether that is supported in general, will be supported in general on mainnet, because you won't be able to just do a raw send transaction to send coins to an arbitrary user, but will you be allowed to include a send amount in an arbitrary transaction? Yeah, Manfred.
So yes, for whitelisted addresses, probably including users. Maybe it will change, but right now we want to have a list of addresses. Could be users, could be faucets, could be
in this case, it's the realm itself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a realm. So it's not about sending with mectx send, but it's about mectx call -send.
Yeah.
And if the target is good, you won't get a panic.
Okay.
And this is an option. The other one is for the air users to be completely revert in a way where you don't need to pay, because you could have the free usernames that will be just with some constraints, like finishing with numbers, like Discord, while having a way to have vanity username, but that could be to pass through the DAO. So if we do this option, technically, even if we have the whitelist system, maybe users will never have to receive, the air users will never have to receive any money.
Okay. Interesting.
But consider that if some realms deserve and are official and basically we approve them, we can whitelist some realms to receive tokens.
Okay, good. That of course will make the creating a new account a lot easier in Gnokey Mobile if you don't have to worry about getting coins from somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, we will have a whitelist as sender. The faucet is a whitelisted sender, and we'll have whitelisted receivers.
Okay, great. And kind of separate question. So issue 3018, you created a list of wanted features of the boards realm, and you said that we should be dog fooding and using it. It's again a question for Ilker. Is the design of boards v2? Yeah, you can click on that maybe, Nemanja. I don't know why it's not popping up. Yeah. Is this included in the feature list for boards v2? And when boards v2 shows up, when we dog food, are we going to be dog fooding with boards v2 or still with the old our demo boards? Yeah, Manfred.
So this issue is already something we can already work on, not waiting for boards 2 to exist. Definitely what boards 2 should allow everything here, but for instance, the Adenati integration is not depending on boards v1 or boards v2. It's about making the TX link catched by the Adena extension. I'm not sure anything here is depending on boards 2, but the goal is for boards 2 to definitely make sure that everything here is doable. But the dog fooding is something we want. Boards is something we expect to launch before the mainnet. Maybe it will be after, but the goal is to definitely to launch it as soon as possible, not depending on launching the mainnet, so we can start using it. This issue is about using it as a way to just list everything that is definitely a problem. Lack of Adena integration makes social dApps definitely painful to use for more people. So we want to dog food, we want to start using it internally, and then we want both to fix GNOWeb and other tools, but we also want to fix boards. Once boards 2 is finished, technically it will be the V1 of boards 2, and we will definitely want to improve the UI, the UX, and improve it. So we need more dog fooding, not only about writing the home page, such as Nathan just did. We also want dog fooding in terms of using the contracts. And board is the one we expect to concentrate our efforts.
Okay.
Feel free, Berty or any other partner or any organization at some point to be like a little bit extreme by switching early on board for one of your things. Could be to make your stand-up meeting on board or whatever. Definitely it's an invitation to use board early so we can have a short feedback loop and improve it.
Do you imagine that's on the portal loop or on test 5?
Definitely just expect it on portal loop.
Okay.
In terms of content. Do whatever you want on test 5 if you want to test other features, but the real goal of dog fooding board is to focus on the content. And
Okay.
the only place where the content won't be sunset after some point is portal loop.
Right. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you. Miguel?
Yes, hello everyone. So I wanted to discuss about this because I mean we have 2 issues I started working on. The first one is like currently when we generate the Genesis file, we have a default address that does that. But now we want to configure that address. I mean, there is some sort of discussion about this issue, mainly about the verified signatures. I don't know if I can present or no. No, it's perfect if you present. On the bottom of the issue, I mean, it's principally Milos that is we are discussing about. And I just wanted to tell, like, currently I have investigated like a lot of it. I mean, I was able to generate the transaction on the packages with a signature and to start the chain with the verification, and everything was working. So I just wanted to find the right approach of it. I don't know if maybe this is the moment to discuss about this, but
So the base question is, how do you specify who is the actual signer for the transaction? Do you just use an address, or do you specify a public key, or do you specify like a Gnokey link or something like that? I'm guessing
yes,
that's the question, Miguel, right?
yes, but for example, if I specify just the public key, I won't be able to sign the transaction. I mean, I could sign it, but there is no verification on the other side when starting the chain. So that's why first I use a mnemonic. On the pull request I already started. We're using a mnemonic, but as I said on the response, we could use like the same we use on the make transaction. Use the name of the wallet and then the password, something like that. But I mean, sorry, maybe I was not clear. The question was like, should we still verify the transaction while starting the chain, or should we not?
Do you talk about the Genesis transaction?
Yeah, the Genesis transaction.
Yes, just to give everybody context, the transactions that we currently have in the Genesis file, they don't actually have any signatures. They're like perfectly valid transactions, but the signatures on them aren't actually valid, right? There's like an open issue, I think, from 2 years ago, probably, to enable a single flag, which is called verify Genesis signatures, which would trigger this check where when the Genesis file is being read and the Genesis transactions are being initialized for the chain, their signatures are actually verified, right? But then you run into this other problem, which is to generate a transaction signature, you also need a few things, right? But one of the things you need is the account number. I think for Genesis transactions, this is disabled, so you don't actually need to specify anything. But yeah, you run into a situation where the transaction itself, like the signature, you can't generate like a valid one, because the account number goes in the signature, and you obviously don't have the account number before you actually start the chain. So yeah, the question Miguel is asking is whether or not we should even be verifying Genesis transaction signatures.
Yeah, maybe we can have an option to turn that off. So all the Genesis transactions, maybe they don't need signatures at all. But I think some chains will want that feature. I can also see not having those signatures be useful. So we could turn it off if that's what we need.
Yeah, currently it's an option. It's off by default, right? But yeah, there is an option to actually modify it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't clear at all.
All good. Do you want me to share the second question?
No, I think that's covered already.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Onbloc.
Oh, yeah. Is it okay to keep going because our time is running out? So, okay, I will finish it as much as possible. So, I will share my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, good. So we are currently working on this PR, which is the modify the execution location of the deduct fee function to obtain more accurate gas fee. But the current problem is in the current implementation when the when the gas fees, there's a possibility that users might pay charges but fail to send transactions due to the insufficient balances in their accounts. So therefore, I think we need to make a separate handle policy to handle this case. Currently, as you can see, we are just simply returning an error without collecting any fees for now. And we discussed in the internally, we can obtain the information like a gas usage or the gas wanted from the results before the executing run tx mode for get a reference value. But in this case, since VM executing results are not reflected on that value, so there was a significant differences to use it as a reference value. So therefore, I think it would be reasonable to use the value obtained after VM execution in here, and while adding some buffer value to get some. So in short, so I registered a bunch of the question in here, but the main question is about how we should handle this case with the policy. Thank you.
So basically, you're asking, should we deduct any fees if your user does not have enough in their account?
Oh yes, you're right. It's very edge case, but very possible.
Insufficient during fee collection. Okay. Wait, so I'm not sure about the. I didn't understand the problem. Sorry. So this is a valid transaction. So the user does have enough GNOT that they specified in the transaction. So it's a valid transaction. It's just that they ran out of gas because the gas they specified was not enough.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, but we do collect the fees.
Mm-hmm.
We collect the fees that they said they would pay, and then transaction fails. So if a transaction, if the user signs a transaction for for I don't know 10 gas and 10 GNOT,
yeah.
But the actual transaction requires
more than yeah.
Then the transaction should fail, and this should only get deducted 10 GNOT.
Yes, then the user will pay some charge, but they didn't send any transaction. That's the problem.
What do you mean they didn't send any in the transaction?
Oh, they don't get it. They don't commit any some. Oh, they just pay some charge and doesn't return anything. Yeah.
I don't understand. They would pay the 10 GNOT, right?
Yes.
And then what else needs to happen?
Nothing happened. It's just paying the 10 GNOT.
So I don't understand what's broken or what needs to change. Because well, here it says currently insufficient funds trigger an insufficient funds error without fee collection. Are we talking about transactions that are committed in the block, or are we talking about like simulations?
Coming in the block.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the no transactions, all the transactions that are in a block should have enough fees. So if the user doesn't even have, like if the user signs a transaction for 10 GNOT for 10 gas, that transaction should not be in the blockchain. It should not be proposed by a good validator if they don't even have 10 GNOT. It's possible, it is possible that a proposer proposes a transaction that is invalid because like they don't even have the GNOT at all. So that's possible, but yeah, but that's it should be okay because that's an invalid proposal. Well, it's a block with an invalid transaction. We can figure out which validator proposed that block, and we can deal with it later. Right? So that's an edge case, and that's fine because it doesn't happen often.
Oh, okay, I get it. So we don't have to worry about that.
You're right. We don't have to worry about it. It's not something that happens often, and if it does happen, the validator is going to get punished. So like, not a big deal. It
Good.
will.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
All right, so let's squeeze one more question from Berty.
Okay. This is not slowing us down. That's why we said it's time permitting. This is something that Guillaume's been working on. We all want, because we want to be able to, in Gnokey Mobile, deal with multiple chains and talk to its RDemo users. Right now, we're using specialized code, which, well, we're using, where we're dealing with the fact that the thing that's returned from something like get user by name is this ugly serialization of the GNO object. I could put in the chat what we're doing now. Chat. How do I chat? Right here. So we're playing with QEval, right? So when we send a QEval to the chain, we do get user by name, and then we ask it to look up the address, and we ask it to convert to a string. And this is, and then we interpret the weird string thing, which is just a little typed object which says it's a string, and then we get our answer. But it's not slowing us down, but it's clumsy. And so like everybody, we're interested in when we can get JSON results from transaction calls. So I was just curious about where we are.
So there is an ongoing PR that I think will be able to merge pretty quick. Not this one, of course. This ongoing PR will enable only JSON response with primitive value.
Oh, okay.
And with a particularity of being able to stringify error, which was like something we may want, not for the query, but for the message call.
So we would still need to send a QEval with at least selecting one of the fields out of the object, right? Because get user by name returns this struct, which is the user object.
Yeah. For now, it's just a base. It will maybe after mainnet we'll consider to improve it. I will check how to improve it, because we don't want like the JSON to break the query. Like for recursive structure or field and etc. So it might be a bit complicated and will probably take time. This is not a priority, but having at last, for now, this primitive return will help a bit, because you will be able to parse actually the result.
Yeah.
What it actually does is return an array of every returning value. It's not supporting structure, it's not supporting array, even it's only supporting primitive type.
Okay.
And you will have to specify it as an option on the message query.
So we end up calling twice, right? We call get user by name with just the name, and then see if that returns a nil, because that's how our demo user says that the name doesn't exist. And if it does exist, then we call q_eval again and ask for the address. So as long as nil is considered a primitive type that will be converted,
of course.
Then
If an object is nil, it will return nil. If it's actually the representation of the object will be simply like it will describe the type. So instead of returning the actual structure, it will say, oh, it's returning like the actual type of the structure, and probably the object ID if it's an object.
Yeah.
But yeah, you will not be able to actually use it, but you will see that it's actually returning the object. And nil if there is no object, so it might be useful. At least you will be able to parse the response, which might be really useful, and parse the error, which might be also useful as well.
Yeah, the error is the more important thing. Yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah, that's why I implement this base. And since I will have this base, I will probably be able to work on like more complex things after. But yeah, at last we have this base. We'll have this primitive base, which will be really helpful, I guess, for you and for the other. And we can enhance it later. But it will be at last like this JSON return.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nemanja. We'll monitor this PR number.
Yeah, we'll keep you in touch. I will hope to finish pretty soon. This one is easy actually, but I want to doing it well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're over time, but we managed to cover the whole agenda. So thank you for coming and have a great week.